Should the Bible be banned? That is the question, and for those of you who don't know, my name is Morgue, and I'm an ex-Christian and survivor of RTS, which is Religious Trauma Syndrome. Now, we're going to talk about if the Bible should be banned, and I'm going to be telling you about things in the Bible that you don't know are in there. Most people think that the Bible is relatively benign. I grew up in a strict Christian household. I studied the Bible in and out, and let me tell you, there are some absolutely atrocious things in here. There's rape, murder, incest, and just slavery, sexism, just countless terrible things in the Bible that people have no idea are in it. And the reason why that we are going to be taking a look at this as well is because in Florida, you may have known that recently they are banning books in schools that have things like that are teaching kids about, say, LGBTQ and critical race theory and things like this. They actually just banned a bunch of math books, something like over 50 math books, because apparently it contains critical race theory or things like that. So the whole idea here is that they want to ban certain books from schools for having LGBTQ information in there, teaching kids about like sexual orientation and stuff like that, because apparently this is just much too explicit for kids. So by that logic, we're going to take a look at the Bible and by their own logic, because I want to bring this up as well. If we take a look right here, and this is what we're going to be taking a look at. So if we take a look at here, Florida man asks schools to ban Bible following the state's efforts to remove books. And this is a very important point. So a Florida activist known for his, and this is on npr.org, by the way, a Florida activist known for his tongue-in-cheek petitions to local government agencies have asked school districts in Florida to ban the Bible. So in petitions sent to public schools, superintendents across the state, Chaz Stevens asks the districts to immediately remove the Bible from the classroom, library, and any instructional material. Stevens wrote in the documents, which were shared with NPR. Additionally, I also seek the banishment of any book that references the Bible. And remember, this is all in response to, people wanting books that refer to LGBTQ and information and education on sexual orientation and all that, and gender orientation to be banned and removed from schools. And his petition cited a bill signed into law last month by Governor Ron DeSantis, which lets parents object to educational materials. That bill came about after some parents complained about sexually explicit books being taught in Florida schools. Many of those books, such as Genderqueer, a Memoir, deals with LGBTQ themes and coming out stories. DeSantis celebrated the removal of Genderqueer at a news conference after the signing of the law. It's a cartoon-style book with graphic images of children performing sexual acts, he said last month. This is wrong. That's his quote. All right. So liberals have been critical of the legislation, and I just want to read this to you guys as sort of foundation for what we're going to be talking about and looking in here. So liberals have been critical of the legislation. After passage, the state's Democratic leader, Lauren Book, lamented Florida's joining places like Russia and China, modern-day examples of what happens when free thought and free speech are tightly restricted in all levels of society, including in school. So, with Florida, the latest flashpoint in the culture wars, Stevens decided it was time to take up arms. His target, the Bible. Quote by him, "My objection to the Bible being in your public schools is based on the following 7 points offered for your learned consideration." Stephen proceeded to question whether the Bible is age appropriate, pointing to its casual references to murder, adultery, sexual immorality, and fornication. Do we really want to teach our youth about drunken orgies? And it gets a lot worse than just drunken orgies. Let me tell you, we're going to look at some very interesting verses. So he also took issue with the many biblical references to rape, bestiality, cannibalism, and infanticide. And the algorithms are not going to like me saying these words. In the end, if Jimmy and Susie are curious about any of the above, they can do what, and by the way, isn't that interesting that I have to watch what I say when talking about things in the Bible, because they are too explicit for the terms of service or not the terms of service, but like advertiser friendly content and what YouTube deems as appropriate or inappropriate and what they censor or don't censor. Like that's, very telling when you can't even talk about what's in the Bible because it is so grotesque and bad that it will, set the algorithms off. So he's taking issue with that the Bible has rape, bestiality, cannibalism, infanticide. So he says, in the end, if Jimmy and Susie are curious about any of these things, they can do what everyone else does. Get a room at the Motel 6 and grab the Gideons, he wrote. So he's being tongue-in-cheek, saying that if they want to learn about all that stuff, they can just grab a Bible and pop it open. So the 17-year-old Deerfield Beach man says his ire was stoked after Florida lawmakers decided this month to ban 54 math books. They banned 54 math books that were claimed to have incorporated topics such as critical race theory. And I briefly took a look at some of the math books that were banned. It's ridiculous. They'll have like some math problems where they have like a graph showing racial prejudice based on age group or something, which is good information. That's why not? Why not have graphs displaying like racial prejudices based on age? Anyway. They banned 54 math books. So you see how, with a fine-tooth comb, they're going through things to get rid of books, a math book that's trying to teach people about, prejudice. When you can pop open the Bible and there's many verses that outright support slavery. I don't have a problem with that. Teaching critical race theory? No, ban it. But the good book with all the pro-slavery in it? Oh, that's fine, apparently. I've done a whole video on that, by the way, on verses on slavery in the Bible. Check out that video. So I love the algebras, says Stevens, who studied applied mathematics in college. And those Tallahassee loons just banned a bunch of arithmetic books? It's crazy, isn't it? So Stevens sent the petitions in a way to point out the hypocrisy, he said. He said, if you want to teach morality and ethics, do you really want to turn to a book that wants you to dash babies against rocks? He told NPR, pointing to Psalm 137:9. And yeah, that's surprise, surprise, if you didn't know that, bashing babies against rocks is in the Bible. So Stevens, who doesn't have any children attending Florida public schools, says he hasn't heard back from any of the school districts yet. But his group is tracking when the emailed petitions are opened, and it's been 35 times. So my activism in the past has been wildly successful, Stevens says, and I imagine will continue on a similar trajectory. And I love that this person is doing this, by the way. Hats off to this individual. Stevens said he is particularly interested in drawing attention to the hypocrisy. I don't have the votes, he said. My job is merely to turn hypocrisy on itself and let the bureaucrats eat each other for lunch. So he's not, he doesn't think that this is actually going to pass or not. He's proving a point. It's not the first time Stevens has made waves for his activism. In 2015, he petitioned 11 South Florida municipalities to either drop the prayer that opens their city commission meetings or let him lead a prayer in the name of Satan. That's beautiful. I love that. That's wonderful. Because yes, that's right. Why are you going to open up with a prayer to God? Why does that have any business in any sort of government institution? And if you're going to do that, why not open up a prayer to Satan? Why? What's the difference? So after Stephen's request, by the way, if you look in the Bible, Satan harms hardly anyone, whereas God is responsible for countless upon countless upon countless deaths. He drowns the entire world population. The entire world population. This includes innocent children and animals in a flood, and only saves one family. In Egypt, he with the Pharaoh, he allows all the firstborn children of Egypt to die. He has them killed, and all the firstborn of the animals as well. So, and this is just small. We could spend days reading all the atrocities in the Bible, but we're going to look at some of the worst today. But anyway, after Stephen's request, some Florida cities ended up dropping their moment of prayer altogether. The satanic stare withered them down, Stephen told the Sun Sentinel. So I love that. This guy is awesome. I mean, I don't know any more about him than just this, but from this, great work. You're doing the Lord's work, my friend. So we are going to take it. So the whole idea here is, should the Bible be banned? And we're going to look at should the Bible be banned based on the criteria of the parents' objections for LGBTQ material, gender identity, sexual orientation, educational material. We're going to be looking at on those grounds. We're not even going to look at all the other reasons that it should be, right? Because there's slavery and sexism and so much. But we're going to look particularly at sex in the Bible, because that's the whole problem, right? They don't want these books and there's these children to find material educating them about gender orientation and all this. So what about what is the Bible? And we're only going to look at a few of these, okay? We're going to only look at a few of these because we would be here all day. So I'm going to be taking a look here at what's called the Skeptics Annotated Bible, which will list all of the horrible things in the Bible. It's a great website. It's not right all the time. Now remember, I grew up in a strict Christian household, so I knew the Bible backwards and frontwards. I knew I was taught all these things, and so this book over here was most likely written by an atheist or something. So they don't get everything right. I can tell when they're like, okay, well, that's not actually true. But about 75% of this is right. So it's a really, really good resource for pointing to all the horrible things in the Bible. So let's take a look at this one right here, because we're looking at, children don't want to be exposed to sexually explicit things. Well, if we look at this, which will be, let's bring this up, Genesis, 19:30 through 38. And like I said, you could just flip through it. It's in these Bibles. My Bible is getting kind of trashed. There's pages missing, and yeah, there's just it's been used for a few thumbnails and demonstrations, so it's not in the best of shape. But if we're looking at, let's see, Genesis 19:30 through 38. So let's see what this says. So we're talking about Lot, okay? And Lot is considered a righteous man in the Bible, right? Lot is one of the Lot went up to Zor and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, for they feared to dwell in Zor. And he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. All right, so we have Lot, righteous man of God, and his 2 daughters in a cave. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve the seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass the next day that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and you go in and lie with him as well. That way we may preserve the seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. and their firstborn bare a son and called his name Moab and blah 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 blah, and they had kids. So basically what you have here is you have a situation where Lot and his two daughters go into a cave. They get him drunk, and then in his drunkenness they both have sex with him to have his kid. So you have basically rape and incest, which is absolutely, like, this is something that you wouldn't even find on you know, phub.com. I'm not going to say it because the algorithms will freak out on me, but you wouldn't even find, you know, it's like, what are you doing, stepbrother? Yeah, this is way worse than something that you would find on even a site like that. So right away, and this is just in Genesis, by the way. This is a very large, long book. This is just in the first barely. Look, it's not even, where is it at now? We've basically just opened it, and we have that right away. And I want to show you as well, because this was Genesis 19. This was my Bible, by the way, from when I was going to Bible camps. So I just want to read to you this translation that I just read right here on screen. This is a very nice, kind translation. This is not, the different translations of the Bible are also more explicit, because this is like I said. So I want to show you, because this is literally the Bible that I was given to as a child and would read every single day, took to Bible camp. So this is a great example of the typical type of Bible that a child would encounter, because this is literally the one I grew up with. So I just want to read you the story translated in this one. Lot was afraid to continue living in Zoar, so he and his two daughters went to live in the mountains in a cave. One day the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old. Everywhere on the earth women and men marry, but there are no men around here for us to marry. Let's get our father drunk and have sex with him. We can use him to have children and continue our family." That night the two girls got their father drunk, and the older daughter went and had sexual relations with him. But Lot didn't know when she lay down or when she got up. The next day the older daughter said to her younger, "Last night I had sex with my father." It says sexual relations with my father. "Let's get him drunk again tonight so you can go and have sexual relations with him too. In this way, we can use our father to have children and continue to our family." So that night, they got their father drunk again, and the younger daughter went and had sexual relations with him. Again, Lot did not know when she lay down or when she got up, and they got pregnant and they had kids. So, like, do you see how, like, absolute bullshit, you're going to get mad when you have sex education, gender education in schools. You're going to get mad at that. Yet this shit is apparently perfectly fine. Totally fine for any child. And I was taught, this stuff is not, I was taught these stories, right? Like these are not, the Bible is filled with, this isn't just, like I said, you just barely, I'm getting getting triggered here. Like RTS is a real thing. So these stories, you just barely open the Bible and you find something like this. It's not uncommon. One of these days we'll play a game where we'll just flip to a random page, plop our finger down and see what it says. We'll do a live stream like that at one of these days. But let's use my trusty Bible, and let's take a look more at some of these here. Oh, here's a great one. Here's a good one. Where is this? I know a perfect one. Ah, okay, great. So this comes right before. It's okay. This is, what is this? Where is it? Okay, so 2 Peter. So this is, you guys are, you'll get a kick out of this story. Okay. Sorry, I just had they gave the wrong page number in this particular thing. So you'll see that this resource is not bad, but they do make some mistakes. Like I see the thing is they said it was in 2 Peter. I'm like, that's not in 2 Peter, that's in Genesis. So yes, it's in Genesis. So this comes right before. This is okay. So this story about the daughters having sex with their dad was right here. We're just gonna move right over here. It's basically the story right before that one. All right, I just want to emphasize how dense this is with vile, putrid, mental, degrading bullshit. So 2 angels came to Sodom. So Sodom is, if you ever heard of like sodomy, anal sex, God, the algorithms are not going to like me. Sodom and Gomorrah is a city. You know, you can get the idea. And God destroyed. So Lot, the guy we were just talking about, Lot lived in Sodom and Gomorrah. God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because of homosexuality, essentially. Except for Lot, because Lot was apparently righteous. So Lot is considered righteous. So God say, just like God killed everyone on earth except for Noah, because apparently Noah and his family were righteous. Kind of same deal going on here. Sodom and Gomorrah, he's going to absolutely destroy except for Lot and his family because apparently they are righteous. So Lot's a good guy in the Bible. So 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening as Lot was sitting near the city gate. When he saw them, he got up and went to them and bowed face down on the ground. Lot said, "Sirs, please come to my house and spend the night. There you can wash your feet and then continue your journey tomorrow." The angels answered, "No, we will spend the night in the city public square." But Lot begged them to come, so they agreed and went to his house. Then Lot prepared a meal for them, and he baked bread with yeast, and they ate it. So basically, some angels came to talk with Lot, and Lot said, "Hey, come stay at my house before you continue your journey." I don't know if he knows that they're angels or not. I don't know if he knows it. It doesn't matter if he knows they are or not, but they're having dinner. Before bedtime, men, both young and old, and from every part of Sodom surrounded Lot's house. They called to Lot, "Where are the 2 men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so we can have sexual relations with them." So the whole town, the whole city is basically banging on his door, Lot's door, and saying, "The two guys who came in today, bring them out here so we can basically have a gangbang." And Lot went outside to them, closing the door behind him. And he said, "No, my brothers, don't do this evil thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man, virgins. I will give them to you, and you may do anything you want with them. But please don't do anything to these men. They have come to my house, and I must protect them." But the 2 men, oh wait, hold on. The men around the house answered, "Move out of the way." Then they said to each other, "This man Lot came to our city as a stranger, and now he wants to tell us what to do?" They said to Lot, "We will do worse things to you than to them." And they started pushing him back and were ready to break down the door. Now, so here's what's going on. You have these 2 angels. So this, lovely Bible story. You have 2 angels that come to Lot, who's apparently this righteous guy. They go in for dinner. Then you have a bunch of people come to the door, ramming, their fists against the door, saying, "Bring these guys out here so we can rape and gangbang them." And Lot goes, no, hey, don't do that. Here, have my 2 virgin daughters, and you can do whatever you want with them. And then, right after that story, you have the story of those 2 daughters getting him drunk and fucking him so that they can have his children. And that's back to back. We've barely even, where does this even, we've basically barely opened the Bible. And by the way, in this, the God has already drowned the world and, is about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah and all this. So let's let's see what else we can find in here. And you have to understand, right, that this is just, so look, this lists all the different things. We haven't even looked at all these. We've just looked at number 14 and 11 or 12. And look, this goes all the way to 250, and that is just one section, which is the sex section. Doesn't even get to cruelty and violence, doesn't get to intolerance, doesn't get to contradictions, doesn't get to absurdity, doesn't get to any of these things, right? All that isn't even in there. Just the ones referencing sex. Not any of the other things are 250. So if you just look at, just like, let me just read, I'll just read some of these off to you. God decides to kill Moses because his son had not been circumcised. Luckily for Moses, his Egyptian wife Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet and said, "Surely a bloody husband art thou to me." So God let him go. This story shows the importance of penises to God and his hatred for foreskins. Here's one that references bestiality. It's listed as a bad thing, but if you're going to talk about, just children being exposed to things. People taking off their clothes and dancing naked around a golden calf. I mean, there's just so much in here. And again, a long list of relatives that you may not have sex with, but there's one relative that is not mentioned. Your daughter, nowhere in this list or anywhere else in the Bible is sex between a man and his daughter, or more generally, a parent and child, forbidden, right? So that's another thing. You're not supposed to have sex with your relatives, but between your son and your daughter, or not son and daughter, between father and daughter, that's not forbidden. And it happens. We just read about a time when it happened, and God didn't have a problem with that. And also, if you look at, Adam and Eve, if Adam and Eve were the only two human beings on earth, well, where did all the people come from? Well, Adam and Eve had sons and daughters, and they all had to fuck each other. So it's, this is built on incest. So here's another one in Deuteronomy. If you see, so here, So here's one. Let's look at this one. This is a good one. And again, we're just barely perusing. (21:11). And I want to use this one because this is a good indication of like what is actually used. So when you go to war against your enemies, the Lord will help you defeat them so that you will take them captive. If you see a beautiful woman among the captives and are attracted to her, you may take her as your wife. So basically, you're allowed to go to the city, conquer these people, and rape their women. Bring her into your home, where she must shave her head and cut her nails, and change the clothes she was wearing when you captured her. After she has lived in your house and cried for her parents for a month, you may marry her. You will be her husband, and she will be your wife. But if you are not pleased with her, you must let her go anywhere she wants. Aw, how nice. You must not sell her for money. Aw, because you have taken away her honor. It just goes, it goes on, and you can see this legitimately makes me very angry. Do you see how hypocritical this is? Again, let's get rid of math books because they teach information about prejudice and race. Let's get rid of all these different books because they have gender references and references to LGBTQ. But this is fine. Go to war against your enemies, capture their women, and after they're done crying for their dead relatives, you can fuck her. That's fine, though. That's fine. That's fine. If a man, look, Jesus Christ, this 22 again. So this is just 22. What I read was here. We're just moving over a little bit. I just want to show you how dense and compact this is. This is 22:13 through 21. If a man marries a girl and has sexual relation, all right. If a man marries a girl and has sexual relations with her, but then decides that he doesn't like her, he might talk badly about her and give her a bad name. He might say, I married this woman, but when I had sexual relations with her, I did not find that she was a virgin. Then the girl's parents must bring proof that she was a virgin to the older leaders at the city gate. The girl's father will say to the leaders, I gave my daughter to this man to be his wife, but now he doesn't want her. This man has told lies about my daughter. He has said, I did not find your daughter to be a virgin, but here is your proof that my daughter was a virgin. Then her parents are to show the sheet to the city leaders. And leaders must take the man and punish him. They must make him pay about 2.5 pounds of silver to the girl's father, because the man has given an Israelite virgin a bad name. The girl will continue to be the man's wife, and he may not divorce her for as long as he lives. But if the things the husband said about his wife are true, and there is no proof that she was a virgin, the girl must be brought to the door of her father's house. Then the men of the town must put her to death by throwing stones at her. She has done a disgraceful thing in Israel by having sexual relations before she was married. You must get rid of the evil among you. I'm just continuing. There's just so much. So yeah. If a man has sex with the girl and decides he doesn't like her and says, hey, she's not a virgin. If the father can produce the sheet that she bled on for proof, oh, damn. Well, the guy has to pay a fine. But if they can't produce proof, they take the girl to the door of her father's house and stone her to death. And stoning to death is a lot more vicious than one may imagine. It's not just taking little pebbles and throwing them at people. It's taking huge rocks and, skull-crushing rocks and all the people of the city, throwing them at the person until they die. There's so much in here, and it legitimately just makes me very angry. So here's what we're gonna do. Look, if you guys can read all of this for yourself, and there's just so much. We've looked at 4 out of 250 just relating to sexual things, and you can see these are extreme examples. These aren't, they banned the math books because they had a graph showing based on age racial prejudice. Banned the math books because of that. Oh, but rape and incense and murder and all of these, disgusting, sexist, homophobic. We haven't even talked about the, women are described as property. Women aren't allowed to teach. They have to be in silence and subservient to men. And I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, you're just reading the Old Testament. First of all, it doesn't fucking matter. But in the New Testament, same thing. New Testament, women aren't allowed to teach. They must obey men, and they must be silent. And all of this because apparently Eve ate the apple or the tree, the fruit of tree from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But they can save themselves by giving birth to children. There's just so homosexuals are to be stoned and killed. And so much about just like selling women, buying women, taking women as captives when you conquer cities. I keep scrolling through this and just seeing more and more. And I remember all this because I read this every day in the morning and at night. And so I'm very familiar with all these stories. I mean, I've blocked it out because it's traumatizing. That's what religious trauma syndrome is. It mimics the systems of PTSD and CPTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And it damages the minds of children. You want to talk about not letting children be exposed to certain things. This is what children should not be exposed to. This is what is this is what is vile. So I basically what I want to do here is I set things up by showing you in context what's going on in Florida, what this individual, I believe his name was Stephen, was doing by trying to say, well, by that logic, we should ban Bibles. And then I have shown you just a handful, four. And I didn't even plan. The only one that I planned today to read was the one about the two women, the two daughters having sex with their dad in the cave, raping him, getting him drunk. That's the only one I planned on reading. All the other ones, we stumbled upon them. It's not, so these are easily found. It's filled with it. Like, again, we'll play a game one of these days where we just flip to a page and point and see what we find. I was taught these verses as a child growing up, and these things aren't taught as wrong or bad or evil. They're just matter of fact. Oh, well, yeah, that's what happened before, Jesus came, but it's fine. Like, those were God's commandments back then. That's just how it was. So you're not, it's not taught that it was bad or evil or any of these things. It's not looked at as and a lot of these stories are looked at as examples of righteousness. We're not even going to get into like Abraham killing, God commanding Abraham to kill his child, right? God commands Abraham to kill his only son, Isaac, as a sacrifice to him. And Abraham's going to do it. He goes and he has the knife ready to kill his kid. And eventually God stops him like right at the last moment. But the fact that Abraham is going to do this is taught in church as the epitome of a beautiful example of faith. Like, oh, we should all be like Abraham. No, you should not be like Abraham. If a voice in your head tells you to kill your kid, you got issues. It's not something to base a religion on and as an exemplar representative of the faith. Anyway, I'm going to get too carried away. What I want to bring this back around is that I think we have clear evidence. I keep looking at this. I need to close it because I keep seeing more references to things that I read, as growing up, and it's just making me mad. So I'm going to, put that away for a minute. We saw clear evidence that what is contained in the Bible just by looking at 4 out of the 250 only related to sex, not even the other things, that it's clearly graphic, violent, and filled with terrible things. So the question is, should the Bible be banned? And I want to talk to you guys about this because I want to tell you my perspective. Growing up as a Christian, being firsthand experience of how much psychological damage and trauma this causes to a child. We didn't even talk about any of that. We didn't talk about the intense fear of hell, that you'll be tortured for all eternity. God is constantly reading your mind, so it's thought control. You have to watch your thoughts because if you think the wrong things, you'll be sent to hell for eternity, tortured. These aren't taught as metaphors or stories. These are taught as the inerrant, perfect word of God and absolutely true. We didn't get into any of that. But I want to give you my perspective on should the Bible be banned based on my experience and all these things. So, should the Bible be banned in schools? Yes. Yes. As far what I mean by that is Bible should not be used in schools. None of that should separation of church and state, and this should apply to the education system. You shouldn't have any kind of religious material in school unless you're teaching it for like a historical perspective or something like that. But no teaching bullshit creationism where the earth is only 6,000 years old and God created everything in 7 days, or whatever version of that you want to talk about, or intelligent design, or unless it's just in the context of you know, like a historical or an informational context, but like prayer and all that. No. Should be absolutely be separated, and these things should not have anything to do with the education system because they don't have anything to do with it unless you are using it as, you know, about learning about different religions. Then you should teach all the different religions, not just Christianity. Sure, you can do that, but also teach about like Hinduism and Buddhism and Satanism and all the different religions out there. If you in that context, that's fine. But I'm talking about when it is merged within the school system, as in, you know, like praying every morning and whatnot. That should not be there. Now, should and based on their own criteria, the own criteria of parents and whoever are objecting to it, wanting to banning these books, math books and educational books and other stories and all that from school, based on their own criteria, the Bible should be banned. Based on their own, you know, really think about how crazy that is. It is the worst offender of all of them. Ban a math book for some graphs that describe racial, prejudice, but keep the gangbang, orgy, incest, you know, slave owning, raping book. That's fine. But in general, should the Bible be banned in general, just like in the world? No, I don't believe that it should. Because when you ban a book, what happens is that you make it creates a mystique around the book. It makes it mysterious. Well, how come they banned it? Why don't they want us to know this information? What's in there? What are they keeping from us? Is it really true? So when you ban a book, that doesn't work. What happens is you will create people who become even more zealous. You'll have people who didn't care at all start to become interested. Well, why is it banned? How come we're not allowed to read this? So I do not believe, while I think that the Bible is an absolutely vile book, and I don't believe religion should be taught to children until they are at an age where their rational and logical faculties have developed, because that doesn't become fully developed until they are much older. So it's brainwashing. It is literal brainwashing. Not exaggeration. You are brainwashing kids before they even have the chance to have their left hemispheric brain functions properly developed to be able to reason. And you're fucking with their ability to reason when you teach them all this insanity. So anyway, I don't think that it should be banned because it creates this mystique around it. It draws more attention to it. What should be done is it should be ridiculed. The Bible should not be banned. It should be ridiculed. It should be explicitly shown how stupid, ridiculous, illogical, and just absurd it is. And even to the point where it's ridiculed to the point where it's like not even taken seriously, where it's just so incredibly stupid. And the world acknowledges how dumb it is that you just don't even want to be associated with it. You know, to believe in the Bible would be like to believe in flat Earth or any of these numbers of things. Like it should be ridiculed to the point where it's embarrassing to be associated with it because it's so fucking stupid. And that's what you do when you want to diffuse something that is causing a problem. If you try and ban it and eliminate it, it will cause a backlash. It will have for every action, there's, an equal and opposite reaction. Not exactly like that, but it's kind of like that. You try and get rid of something, you're going to create more of a passion and mystique about it. But ridiculing is the way to go. The Bible is so ridiculous, so stupid, so just packed with lies, horror, ridiculousness, we need to look at the Bible as being as ridiculous as when we talk about Zeus becoming a swan and having sex with a human. Like, it's just dumb. No one takes it seriously. No one believes in Zeus turning into a swan and screwing people. I haven't read Greek mythology in a long time, so I'm getting the details wrong there. Forgive me, but it's something along those lines. And it just needs to be looked at like that. Like, that's ridiculous. No one believes that. No one takes that seriously. And we should believe the same thing when God, impregnated Mary with his spirit that was also him, so that he could die on the cross for the sins of the woman who ate the apple that talked to the talking snake, said it was a good idea. like it needs to be, this is how we conquer things like this, with ridicule. It's something that deserves to be ridiculed and should be ridiculed. Should it not be in schools? No, it should not be in schools. Should it be taught to children at all? No, it should not be taught to children at all. But outright banning, I'm not for that. It'll cause more problems than good. It just needs to be shown. Its stupidity needs to be highlighted and ubiquitously ridiculed until it's just the joke that it is. So, that's my take on it, from being a ex-Christian, showing you these verses in the Bible that are absolutely atrocious, and I'm not going to get too much into it because I'll just get it'll just trigger me again. But I hope you really think about this and understand why the Bible is dangerous, why the Christian religion is extremely dangerous, how it has a huge effect on the minds of children, causes RTS, which is a very real thing, PTSD, CPTSD. We do not tolerate physical child abuse, and neither should we tolerate mental and psychological child abuse, because the effects can be just as damaging. So let's end this, religious dark age that we live in, and step into the world and into a world guided by logic and reason. So if you enjoy my channel, make sure you subscribe and like and all that stuff, so we can just spread this information. And I do a lot of videos. We do drunk Bible readings. We do a lot of fun things. So check out my channel, and all for the name of spreading truth and blasphemy, helping make the world a better place, led by logic and reason. And on that note, I want to give a big shout out to everyone who supports on Patreon, especially Renaissance Fairy, Trent, Cassidy, Michael, Evie, Alan, Angela, Maria, Brian, Chubby Bunny, High Expectations Counseling, Jordy, and everyone else. Thank you so much. If you enjoy my work or feel like you've ever gotten something from it or learned something from it, consider supporting on Patreon. Helps out a lot. You'll get access to our weekly secret live streams, our hidden Discord server, the Citadel, and a lot more. It's how I'm able to do what I do, and I appreciate it very much. The link will pop up right over here.